Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. Adise Nwosu paused at the ballroom entrance, her heart a metronome pounding under satin lace. The Okafor family's engagement gala shimmered like a mirage of gold and privilege. Chandeliers dripped crystals, tuxedos and ball gowns rotated under their glow. Beneath the polite applause, Adise heard the undercurrent, murmurs of gold digger, market girl, slicing at her confidence like shards of broken glass. She smoothed the thrift store lace of her dress, a discreet piece her aunt had found in Onitsha. No one would guess it cost less than their appetizer plates. Inside her small clutch, though, lay proof that she quietly controlled the majority shares of Ojimba Resources, the very company whose dividends financed every glittering bauble in the room. Chief Okafor lifted his glass in a toast, to uniting two families in true harmony. His voice was honey, his intent curdled. He believed Adise stood to gain everything. Obinna, her fiancé, stepped to her side, concern flickering in his dark eyes. Ignore them. His hand brushed hers. I practice smiling through storms, she whispered. A cousin's voice drifted. Control the narrative, mother says, that's what she's here to do. Laughter rippled. Adise's pulse surged. She stood, exhaled, and approached the grand piano at center stage. The pianist fell silent as she requested, lift every voice. Her voice spilled into the hall, rich, unwavering, filled with ancestral power. Forks paused midair. Eyes that assessed dresses now witnessed a soul laid bare. When the last note faded, the room cracked open. Applause thundered, hesitant at first, then genuine. Adise bowed, letting the moment cement her presence. Still, as she returned to Obinna's side, whispers resumed, albeit shaken. Who knew she could sing? Maybe she has hidden depths. Chief's gaze locked on her, a storm brewing behind polite veneer. Outside, Lagos night wrapped them in humid embrace. Neon signs flickered across glass walls. Obinna turned to her. You were incredible. He offered a tentative smile. I'll let truth speak next, she replied, pressing her clutch, feeling the weight of that portfolio. He nodded, unsteady. Tomorrow we must decide how and when. She met his gaze. Timing is everything. As the car glided away, Adise whispered to the city lights, let them watch the queen before they learn the kingdom is mine. Dawn found Chief Okafor in his mahogany-paneled study, scowl carving lines across his brow. He summoned Sul, his trusted investigator, and slid a photograph of Adise across the desk. I want every secret unearthed, he commanded. If she has skeletons, let them rattle. Meanwhile, Adise joined her aunt at a bustling Onitsha market stall. Mornings smelled of roasted plantains, diesel, and hope. She handed a battered scale to her aunt and greeted neighbors as if she belonged to this vibrant tapestry, because she did. A group of schoolchildren waved a handmade banner, Thank you, Auntie Ada. She pressed coins into their palms, eyes warm, but her mind ticked through board meetings and strategic clauses written late into the night. Back in Lagos, Sul combed public records. Charity donations, degrees earned on scholarship, no loans, no controversies. He filed a terse report. Clean. Chief snarled. No dirt? That's suspicious. He ordered a deeper dive. Follow her to every office, every meeting. Unaware, Adise donned professional attire and slipped into Uday & Company, a high-end law firm. Partners greeted her by name. She led a meeting to draft her own prenup, one that barred the Okafors from any claim on her assets and embedded a penalty clause if they interfered. She signed with a gold nib pen-etched legacy. Her phone buzzed. Obinna. They want a prenup, he said, voice hesitant. Already done, she replied, masking triumph. I'll send a copy. He hesitated. But won't they feel insulted? They'll feel surprised, she corrected. And respect where respect is earned. At sunset, Sul watched her from across a boulevard as she exited the firm, permitted to go free. Nothing to detain her. He returned to Chief, dossier in hand, and whispered, no skeletons, but a queen cloaked in power. Chief raged, tossing the papers. The game had begun. Adise entered the Okafor mansion's drawing room with calm precision. Today's summit, the prenup signing. Chief lounged on a velvet chaise, Madame Okafor draped in pearls, Obinna tense at her side. Lawyers lined up clipboards like soldiers marshaled for battle. I offer you peace of mind, Adise began, spreading the document on the table. No claim on each other's holdings except where noted. She pointed to Clause 17. Any interference by the Okafors with her ventures nullifies the agreement and triggers hefty damages. Chief laughed. Traps in fine print. He waved the papers away. Madam pursed her lips. Obinna studied his fiancée, mistrust flickering. A junior lawyer nudged Chief. Sir, the penalty is real. Treble damages. Chief shrugged. We'll never activate it. Adiz smiled, iron and silk. We'll see. She signed first, sliding the pen to Obinna, who hesitated, then added his name. Flashbulbs popped behind frosted glass, paparazzi immortalizing every stroke. Later in her car, Adiz texted her team, clause active only if they dare. She knew the Okafor's pride would blind them into making the first move. Obinna called. Did you inflate your assets? She replied. I listed 5 million naira. Modest but accurate. She ended the call. Chief in his study poured whiskey. Foolish girl. We'll outmaneuver her on the market. Madam nodded. We'll propose a joint investment in oil. Chief smirked. She'll bite. Adiz watched southern storms gather on her phone's map. She whispered, forecast, heavy fallout. Chief Okafor's convoy kicked red dust as it approached the Ojimba Colton mine. Under a blistering sun, he expected a hero's welcome. Instead, armed guards barred the gate. Entry denied, the captain announced. By order of Chairwoman A.N. Chief's jaw slackened. N? Adiz Nwosu, the guard replied, scanning an iPad. Fury scorched Chief's face. He flagged down Sewell. Explain. Sewell tapped tablets. Majority share transfer confirmed. Chief's eyes bulged. Adiz held controlling interest. Inside the compound, miners unfurled a banner, Our Mining Mother. Women and children chanted her name. News crews filmed her inspecting safety gear, approving hazard bonuses. A staffer whispered, She's here. Adiz, in reflective vest and helmet, greeted workers warmly. We build not just mines but futures, she told a camera. Chief lunged forward, shielding his face. Obinna arrived via video call. Dad, please? Adiz ended the call. She had anticipated this. She transferred shares quietly, timed to perfection. She tapped a tablet icon, releasing funds for township repairs. A cheer rose. Chief stormed away. That night, in his penthouse, Chief stared at the city lights, enraged and defeated. Adiz, on a balcony overlooking the mine below, whispered to the breeze, Control is illusion. Service is power. Below, lamps glowed like embers, each one proof that she wielded both gold and goodwill. Madame Okafor spared no expense at the Eco-Atlantic Sky Tower for Adiz's bridal shower. Mirrors glinted, silver balloons floated, influencers live-streamed from every corner. The theme, Shine Bright. Adiz arrived in an understated white kaftan, her aunt's woven fan tucked into her sash. Gowns of sequins and metal rattled as she moved. A vlogger hissed, Look at her, so plain. During gift opening, crystal vases and diamond necklaces glimmered. Cameras zoomed on her polite nods. Then she lifted her own box, unassuming brown paper tied with twine. The crowd leaned in. Inside, framed stock certificates, blank but for her signature. Murmurs crackled. Is this joke? Someone laughed. Adiz held the frame aloft. A reminder that true value often hides beneath simple frames. Silence drowned the room. A blogger gasped, snatching a photo. Within minutes, Twitter ignited with #EmptyShares theories. Madam recovered, arranging a televised interview for clarity. Adiz slipped outside to the terrace where Obinna waited. You're provoking them. I'm revealing the mirrors they fear, she replied. He frowned. Why can't you just accept their gifts? Gifts fade, legacies endure. Back inside, she scheduled a closed-door briefing with global mining journalists. She would expose her vision for ethical extraction and community reinvestment before the Okafors could shape the narrative. As fireworks blossomed over the lagoon, Adiz held her aunt's fan, watching the balloons float empty of helium. She whispered to herself, They think shining is enough. Soon they'll learn how deep the gold veins run. At dawn, Adiz's phone erupted with alerts. A prominent tabloid headlined Plantain Princess robs billionaire, accusing her of forging degrees and embezzling Okafor funds. Setup. She sank into her balcony chair, cool morning breeze failing to calm her. Within minutes, Obinna's frantic call arrived. In her home office, Adiz pulled up the PDF, doctored university transcripts, fake bank statements, and a sensational insider tip, blaming her for market manipulation. Rising tension, she dialed her legal team. This is slander and I want retraction by noon, or I'll expose your owners. Obinna burst into her study. They printed lies. Are you okay? he demanded. She remained composed. I'm fine. But someone paid for these lies. I need names. Twist. Meanwhile, Sewell confessed to Chief Okafor he'd sold the investigators' findings to the tabloid for a premium. Chief's face contorted with rage. I pay you to dig dirt, not to fabricate. Find out who authorized it. Adiz tapped a message, deploy clause 23. A moment later her assistant confirmed, AN Legacy Trust held a controlling stake in the tabloid's parent company. Escalation. A cease and desist landed on the editor's desk, threatening immediate loss of funding. By mid-morning the same headline reappeared. This time, tabloid apologizes to Adiz Nwosu for false accusations, followed by damning coverage of the paper's ethical breaches. Public sympathy swung firmly in Adiz's favor. Comment threads praised her integrity, hashtags like #MarketQueen rose overnight. That evening, Chief scrolled headlines in his study. He muttered, someone's controlling the narrative, and it isn't Obinna. He stared at a photo of Adiz's calm smile and rasped, I still can't see her strings. Obinna's taxi rattled over cracked pavement as he and Adiz traveled to her childhood village. Setup, he expected dusty shacks. Instead, a modern cooperative hub stood at the crossroads, solar panels glinting on corrugated roofs, boreholes pumping clean water, and a bustling tech lab fueled by Olu's promised scholarships. The village chief greeted them beneath a banner, Welcome home, daughter of the soil. Villagers offered kola nuts and prayers. Obinna's astonishment rippled across his face. Rising tension. At the cooperative office, Adiz introduced him to women weaving market baskets, their profits reinvested in microloans. Children in branded t-shirts coated on donated laptops. I funded this quietly, she said. He swallowed, realizing her market girl was a philanthropic visionary. Under the palm frond pavilion she paused. You see me now. But will you stand beside me? Twist, Obinna hesitated. My family still thinks I'll need their guidance. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Adiz's aunt placed a woven bracelet on Obinna's wrist, a symbol of partnership and equality. Everyone here knows her worth, the aunt said. That night, as monsoon rains drummed on tin roofs, Obinna confessed, I never asked who you were, only assumed where you came from. She offered him dry ground beside a cooking fire. Lightning illuminated distant clouds. Obinna reached for her hand. Teach me then. Escalation. Adiz nodded, though a sliver of doubt lingered. Had he truly crossed class lines? In the hut's shadow, a messenger arrived with a sealed envelope from Chief Okafor. Enough games. Return or face consequences. Adiz tucked it into her bag. Outside, rain washed the horizon, but the storm in her heart was only beginning. Ojimba Resources headquarters brimmed with tension. An emergency board meeting convened. Rumors of mismanagement under Chief Okafor had triggered investor panic. Setup. Chief scrambled for proxies. Whispers of a coup echoed through mahogany halls. Obinna sat beside Adiz in tailored navy suits. She scanned the room. Allies in pinstripes, dissenters in quiet corners. Sewell winked as he handed her a USB drive. Your move. Rising tension. The chairman tapped the gavel. All in favor of reinstating confidence in current leadership? Several hands rose. Then Adiz stood, voice calm. By authority of AN Legacy Trust, 51% shareholding, I call this meeting. Twist. Gasps rippled. Screens flickered to confirm share registers. Adiz's name dominated. The gavel in her hand felt warm with possibility. She addressed the board. Effective immediately, I suspend further votes on leadership. We will conduct a full independent audit before any governance decisions. Escalation, murmurs swelled. Chief's face drained as his allies froze. Outside, reporters snapped photos through windows. Live streams captured Adiz emerging as chairperson pro tem, her power suit a banner of change. Investors tweeted relief. Ojimba stock tickers reversed losses in real time. As board members filed out, Chief confronted her. His voice cracked. How did you? She met his glare. You underestimated me. Always. He stormed off. Cameras followed. Wedding rehearsals in the chapel were meticulous. Floral arches, choir practice, embroidered vows. Set up, but tension undercut every hymn. Obinna's best man leaned in. You sure about this? Obinna watched Adiz perfect her walk down the aisle. Her confidence shimmered in candlelight. Yet behind her eyes flickered hidden calculations. Rising tension. During a break, Obinna confronted her in the vestry. You've been hiding ownership, clause games, boardroom coups. Why not trust me? Adiz paused, the final rose petal falling. I wanted you to know me, not my balance sheet. Twist. He ran a hand through his hair. I love you, but I need honesty. She slipped off her engagement ring and placed it in his palm. Silence pressed between them like a funeral pall. Escalation. The chapel doors swung open. Bridesmaids re-entered. Obinna stared at the ring, then at Adiz's face, resolute, unblinking. A photographer snapped the moment. Flash froze Obinna's agony. Adiz's lips curved into a sad smile as she turned and walked away, leaving her train trailing behind. By morning, tabloids exploded. Gold digger exposed as gold owner. Fiancé dumps her. Set up. Adiz read headlines over coffee in her apartment. No surprise, only quiet determination. Chief Okafor seized the moment, filing papers to freeze Ojimba assets under regulatory claims of conflict of interest. Obinna, torn between loyalty and pressure, remained silent. Rising tension. Adiz's lawyers responded within hours, filing suit under Clause 17 of the prenup. Regulators froze Chief's personal accounts instead, triggering panic in Okafor Holdings. He went too far, her lead counsel said. Twist. On social media, sympathy swung back to Adiz. Clips of her singing at the engagement, footage of her village projects, and boardroom highlights streamed under hashtag #SheBuiltGold. View count soared. Chief, in his study, raged at a screen showing asset charts plummeting. She weaponized paperwork, he snarled. That evening, Adiz granted one televised interview. Calm, poised, she declared, my silence was never deceit, it was protection for everyone I love. Escalation. She ended with a message for Obinna. When you're ready to see me, I'll be here. Outside her window, Lagos traffic hummed like a promise. In the dark, Obinna stared at his phone. The ring burned in his pocket. He typed a message, then deleted it. At Christmas Eve service, Lagos glittered with lights, but Chief Okafor's mind burned with hostility. Set up, he'd arranged a clandestine deal with an Emirati investment firm to dilute Adiz's shareholding in Ojimba Resources. Confidence oozed from his congratulatory press release, until Adiz's team quietly acquired a controlling stake in the partner's holding company the week before the paperwork finalized. When Chief checked his inbox that morning, he found a curt email. Your joint venture agreement is nullified effective immediately. Rising tension. His heart pounded as regulators froze his personal accounts in response to an anonymous tip citing Clause 17. He stumbled to the couch, chest tightening. Paramedics arrived minutes later to stabilize his arrhythmia. Twist. Meanwhile, Adiz learned of his collapse via news alert. Though furious at his aggression, she ordered flowers and a medical grant in his name to the hospital's cardiac unit, her version of Christmas goodwill. Reporters circled her car as she arrived, cameras flashing. Gloating, one shouted. She paused in the lobby light, bouquet in hand, and smiled gently. Healing helps everyone, she said calmly. Escalation. Outside, a cameraman captured Chief's face through the emergency room window, pale, humbled. As Adiz and Obinna departed, the cameraman focused on the single poinsettia she'd left at the nurse's station. Obinna paced the hospital corridor, guilt knotted in his gut. Set up. He watched his father's vitals on a screen and replayed Adiz's harsh words from weeks before. On his phone, he found clips of Adiz teaching coding to orphan children, smiling as they solved algorithms under her guidance. Rising tension, realization struck. She wasn't a social climber but a builder of futures. He slipped into the hospital chapel where Adiz sat praying beside a child receiving care from her grant. He knelt quietly. She opened her eyes, surprise flickering. Twist. I'm sorry, he whispered, voice thick. I doubted you, your vision, your heart. She regarded him for a long beat. Trust is earned, not claimed. Obinna nodded. Then teach me. She handed him a volunteer badge. Together they distributed gifts to young patients, laughter echoing down sterile halls. Escalation. As cameras from a charity news crew recorded them, Chief opened his eyes and gasped at the footage on the small TV screen. His face contorted with jealousy and wonder. The Ojimba boardroom buzzed with anticipation for the quarterly vote. Set up, Chief Okafor, still recovering, had bribed 2 directors to trigger a no-confidence motion against Adiz. Moments before proceedings, a whistleblower slipped USB drives to the meeting's security station. The drive contained audio of the bribery discussions. Rising tension. Adiz entered the room, greeted by uneasy stares. When the vote was called, she calmly requested permission to share evidence. She played the recording over the PA system. Chief and his cronies conspiring. Twist. Gasps and shuffles reverberated. Directors exchanged guilty glances. Adiz rose, voice steady. I propose an ethics resolution. Any director caught in corruption forfeits shares to an employee trust. Escalation. Seated members voted unanimously in shock. Chiefs' allies lost seats. Miners won representation. News anchors hailed it as the most radical governance shift in Nigerian mining. As Adiz gathered her papers, Chief stormed in, face flushed. Security halted him at the door. She paused, meeting his furious gaze. Integrity isn't a placard, it's a practice. Days later, environmental activists praised Adiz's reforms, until fake tweets surfaced accusing her of polluting local waterways. Setup, Ojimba stock wavered on rumors. Adiz convened a global press tour at the Kogi site. She arranged drone footage of restored riverbanks, community clinics and women-led labs. Rising tension. International eco-journalists toured the facilities, capturing interviews with grateful villagers. Meanwhile, social media bots amplified her message. Twist. The resulting mini-documentary skyrocketed to #1 on YouTube. Headlines flipped. From smear to stewardship, Adiz's Green Revolution. Back at his mansion, Chief scrolled through analytics showing Ojimba's shares surging. He pounded the table, enraged that his sabotage backfired spectacularly. Escalation. That night, Adiz watched comment threads praising sustainable mining and pledging support. She posted one final message: stewardship is richer than gold. As she hit send, her phone buzzed with a single text from Chief. How do you keep winning? New Year's Eve in Adiz's childhood village glowed with lanterns and drums. Setup. Miners, farmers and tech interns gathered at the cooperative hub where the postponed wedding was set. Obinna led her to a decorated stage underneath a mango tree. He knelt, unveiling not a ring but signed transfer documents granting her 30% of his personal fintech startup. Rising tension. Silence rippled as villagers realized he was publicly acknowledging her as equal partner. He spoke with emotion. I vow to share every dream and every risk as one. Twist. Adiz's eyes glistened. She took the documents, tracing Obinna's signature. Conditions followed. Transparency in all matters, community-first investments, zero interference from outsiders. He nodded, tears mixing with harmattan dust. Escalation. Fireworks erupted overhead. Children released paper cranes inscribed with scholarship awards. Miners formed an honor guard as drums beat into midnight. As they embraced, the crowd chanted, Adiz! Obinna! In that moment, the village became the epicenter of a new legacy, one built on trust, equality and shared gold. As dusk settled over Lagos, Madame Okafor paced her private salon, heart pounding like a war drum. Setup. She had endured public humiliation for months. Her socialite circle abandoned her, stock charts mocked her, and even her gossip vlogger allies had gone silent. Tonight she planned one final strike. She dialed the vlogger Vida Shade Alabi. I have a story that will bring her down, she purred. A hush fell. Her orphan background? Pure fiction. I have evidence she was expelled from boarding school for theft. Vida hesitated. Send proof. Madame grinned, tapping her phone. On its way. Meanwhile, Adiz wrapped up her late-night boardroom report on the new employee trust fund. Exhausted, she checked messages, and paused at one from her aunt. Check your email. She opened a video attachment. Her childhood home, her aunt's cramped living room, narrated by Vida under a sensational headline. In the footage, her aunt recounted hardships, pausing to sniff back tears. A final caption: was she honest about her past or just another fraudster? Rising tension. Adiz's stomach tightened. She'd chosen transparency over privacy, but this cut deeper. She forwarded the video to Obinna, then called her aunt. Did you agree to this? She asked, voice brittle. Her aunt's trembling reply: Vida asked my story. I thought, to inspire others. Regret laced every word. I didn't know she'd twist it. Twist. Adiz closed her laptop and stood. We end this tonight. She drafted a press release acknowledging her past struggles openly, then inviting journalists to interview both her and her aunt together. She sent a discreet note to Vida's employer: let's do the right story. Moments later, a confirmation pinged. Live press conference in 1 hour. Obinna arrived, arms loaded with documents. Dad's offered you an olive branch. He'll withdraw all suits if you apologize. He sighed, torn. Is that what you want? Escalation. Adiz shook her head. There's no apology for truth. She handed him printed statements of her school records, scholarship awards and testimonials from community leaders. We show proof, every layer. He nodded, pride and relief mingling. In the grand ballroom of a neutral venue, cameras clicked as Adiz and her aunt stepped to the podium together. Reporters leaned in. Vida stood in the back, phone forgotten. Adiz began, "My story is not a scandal, it's the story of resilience." She introduced her aunt, who spoke with quiet dignity about the journey from market stalls to boardrooms. Tears flowed, this time with respect, not ridicule. Behind the cameras, footage of Madame Okafor fuming in her study appeared live. Viewers of the streamed conference saw her face shrink as hashtags #RealGold and #MarketQueen trended. Vida, watching on her own phone, scrolled back through the raw, unedited interview before deleting her scandalous clip. As microphones snapped, Adiz closed with a smile. "We own our pasts because that's how we shape our futures." Global investors gathered in Lagos's conference center under a banner reading "Future of African Mining." Setup: attendees sipped espresso, exchanged business cards, and whispered predictions about Ojimba's leadership. Chief Okafor wheeled in defiantly on a hospital gurney, gripped his cane like a broken scepter. Adiz took the stage in a tailored charcoal suit. Screens flanked her with live graphs projecting record profits since her reforms. She began with data: safety metrics up 37%, community revenues reinvested, women in leadership tripled. Investors leaned forward, captivated. Chief wheezed a cough into his handkerchief and motioned to Sewell, who whispered in his ear. He had arranged for an auditor to present damning irregularities in Adiz's dividend disbursements. The auditor, summoned mid-summit, took the podium. Investors murmured as he detailed alleged misallocations. Confrontation hovered. Adiz raised a gloved hand. "May I address these claims?" she asked softly. The room stilled. She clicked a remote. Screens shifted to real-time audit logs, receipts, and signed acknowledgments from village cooperatives. Every naira sent is accounted for. She highlighted drone footage verifying completed projects. Gasps rippled. Investors whispered apologies. The auditor shrank, unable to meet her gaze. Chief's face flushed beneath hospital tubes as his last smear attempt collapsed in live data. Adiz pressed, "Investors, I invite you to witness our next proof of concept at the MineTech pilot plant tomorrow." Applause erupted. Outside, reporters clustered Chief's gurney. He wheezed, "How?" Sewell shook his head. On stage, Adiz smiled at Obinna, who nodded proudly. Cameras flashed. A journalist called, "Madam Chairwoman, final question. Will you remove your father-in-law from the board?" Adiz paused, voice unwavering, "I remove no one. I elevate everyone who digs with integrity." Investors cheered. Under a mango tree in Adiz's home village, miners and farmers gathered at sunrise. Setup: gone were cathedral pews. In their place, hand-woven benches and children's laughter filled the air. Local drummers set a steady pulse. Obinna awaited in khaki trousers and a white linen shirt. Adiz appeared in a simple A-line dress of Ankara fabric. Guests wore vibrant local prints. Instead of ivory doves, paper cranes, and dozens of solar lanterns, hung overhead. The officiant, a village elder, began, "Today we honor equality, humility, and partnership." As vows approached, a helicopter circled overhead. Chief Okafor had flown in, escorted by security. He stepped onto the grounds, face unreadable, pressing through a line of miners. Whispers spread. Would he disrupt the ceremony? Obinna reached for Adiz's hand. "I stand by you." She nodded. The elder spoke. "Will you, Obinna, honor Adiz as equal in all things?" His voice carried, "I will." Then to Adiz, "Will you, Adiz, partner with Obinna with shared vision?" She smiled, voice strong, "I will." As they exchanged hand-carved wooden rings, symbolizing roots and growth, Chief watched from the edge. Adiz's aunt winked at him. He folded his arms, jaw tight. The crowd erupted in song. When the ceremony closed, Chief approached, clearing his throat. Adiz faced him calmly. "Dad," she said, "your family?" His lips thinned. "Ceremony's fine, but business remains unsettled." Obinna moved protectively by her side. Adiz held up a hand, "Let love set this foundation first. Business will follow." Chief stared at the couple as they walked down the aisle to cheers, uncertain whether he'd won or lost. A week into their married life, Adiz and Obinna plunged into work. Setup: in a converted warehouse at the cooperative hub, Obinna introduced a fintech platform linking miners directly to fair price buyers. Adiz inaugurated a STEM center powered by Ojimba dividends. the couple toured a mine shaft, clad in helmets and boots. Adiz supervised the installation of water purification while Obinna guided youth through a code sprint. Their synergy was seamless. Yet back in Lagos, Chief Okafor convened his remaining board allies. "We must reclaim control," he growled. "She's turned our empire into a social experiment." He proposed a hostile tender offer. Adiz learned of the tender the same day. At her desk, she outlined a counteroffer, an employee stock ownership plan that granted miners 70% of shares over 5 years. She texted the board, "Vote yes for shared prosperity or risk total dissolution." Board members, seeing the united front of workforce and community, sided with her. Investors applauded the visionary model. Headlines proclaimed, "Ojimba's employee revolution." Chief screen showed rejection notices. That evening at the converted innovation hub, Obinna and Adiz hosted miners and engineers celebrating the new ownership plan. Chief watched via livestream, anger and awe warring on his face. He realized his legacy would be redefined by the very daughter-in-law he'd once scorned. As miners cheered, "End for all." Chief's reflection shimmered on the screen, solitary, outdated, and powerless. 50 years after its founding, Ojimba Resources held its anniversary gala under the same chandeliers that once condemned Adiz. This time, the ballroom brimmed with miners in uniforms, engineers in coveralls, and community elders in Ankara. Adiz stepped to the podium in an emerald dress, flanked by her aunt and Obinna. She scanned the crowd, miners who'd once cheered her name in villages, board members turned employees, investors who now championed shared wealth. She began, "When I first entered this room, whispers tried to cast doubt on my worth. Tonight, I reveal the richest vein under our feet, compassion." She announced a 70% employee ownership trust, retaining only stewardship shares. Gasps morphed into sustained applause. Then she added, "I was the anonymous donor who funded Obinna's university education." A portrait of young Obinna at his graduation beamed on the screen. Obinna rose, stunned. She continued, "Destiny's threads are woven by unseen hands, and now we weave our own." Behind glass doors, Chief Okafor appeared in court attire, escorted to sentencing for attempted asset sabotage and regulatory violations. Cameras caught his lowered gaze. Adiz paused, measuring her words. "Justice is the rock upon which integrity stands." The crowd rose, cheers echoing through gilded halls. Fires of celebration lit the night sky. Obinna embraced Adiz as drones captured the moment, broadcasting live worldwide. As the final fireworks faded, Adiz whispered to Obinna, "We started with whispers. Now the world listens." He kissed her cheek, voice quiet, "You turned their gold into guidance." And in that global crescendo, blazing screens, trending hashtags and soaring hearts, the story forged a legacy. They had called her a gold digger, never realizing the richest gold lay in courage and compassion. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.